What's going on, guys? It's Luke22SV here, and we're back with our 13th round of the career mode today. And if you haven't just noticed then, we have changed teams. In fact, we are now driving for Alfa Romeo after activating a mid-season change. And that has basically been down to the fact that the Toro Rosso board and Franz Tost and Helmut Marko are just fed up with our reckless driving now. Despite scoring points in Hungary, they've decided to let us go. We've decided to join Alfa Romeo though, replacing the pointless Kimi Raikkonen, who's had a disastrous season. So filling in with our former F2 teammate Lucas Weber. So we're back being teammates with him again. Had a few incidents with him in Austria, but hopefully we can put that behind us now. There's also been some more mid-season swaps with Daniel Ricciardo moving to Racing Point, Lance Stroll being let go, and Carlos Sainz is filled in his seat at Renault. So that should be interesting to see. And Danny Kvyat has replaced us back at Toro Rosso. So the mid-season changes have been that then. So we can get on into the qualifying for this slightly different grid then for the for the 13th round of the career mode. Hopefully we can have a greater end of the season then with Alfa Romeo, who are we overtook Alfa Romeo in the last race driving for Toro Rosso, but now we're going to have to try and overtake them again and prove that the Toro Rosso have made a mistake and the Red Bull guys have made a mistake in letting me go. Hopefully we can have a great second half of the season then with Alfa Romeo coming back from that summer break, as it would be, into the Belgian Grand Prix weekend. Unfortunately, it doesn't look very summery though in qualifying. We're heading on to our best lap now though, and we're actually behind Lucas Weber starting our best lap, currently down in P20, so can only really improve from our position, and we don't really want to be qualifying last on our first race for Alfa Romeo. But hopefully this is going to be a better lap than what we've seen so far. But we're still slightly green as we head through Eau Rouge and towards Raidillon onto the first of the sectors in this lap. And actually we've improved a lot there, so gained a few temps already. We should be able to move up the order. But of course the wet weather conditions, the AI are a lot better and have a lot better traction than you in these conditions as well. But we're following our teammate who's actually a good reference point, considering he's currently a P6. So we should be able to see whether we can get close enough to him and stick with him on this lap. So that should put us, well, hopefully into the top 10. But with Lucas Weber in the top 6 at the moment, that's a good sign for for the future towards the end of the season, because Alfa Romeo are currently 8th in the championship. Lucas Weber up in P6, that could obviously spell a sign of things to come with the upturn in the results perhaps from Alfa Romeo, and hopefully we can play a part in that as well. But of course it's a bit of a weird one having Kimi Raikkonen struggle to get any points all season, Lucas Weber getting all the points for Alfa Romeo. Hopefully we can get 2 cars in the points regularly now, but of course we can see we're largely up on our previous time, so almost a second up now on our last lap, so that should actually move us up a little bit. And you can see qualifying now complete, so if we get it wrong now we're going to be at the back of the grid, so we've got to get it right in the last sector as we head through the last few corners of Blanchimont up to the bus stop chicane. A little bit of a wheel into the grass there, going through Blanchimont now. We're over a second, almost 2 seconds up now on our previous lap time, but Lucas Weber looks like he's pulled away a little bit from us, but he's caught up to the car in front of him, which looks like Carlos Sainz. But now we're going to cross the line, and where is it going to put us for our first qualifying session in the Alfa Romeo? And it looks like it's P14 as we look up into the top left of the screen, and indeed it is P14 then for our first race. So not the most perfect result, but we'll take it. There's plenty of position to be made up in the race, and we'll move on. 14th place, Lucas Weber down 8th for the end, so 6 positions behind him. It's not too bad, the midfield's quite close, so we'll take that in our first qualifying session in the car that we aren't used to. And both the Toro Rossos down behind us, so that'll be a bit satisfying for us there. Well, being out qualified by the Williams is Alex Albon. But we're heading to the race then for our first race in the Alfa Romeo team. Let's see what we can do.
In the 48 races held at Spa between 1950 and 2015, the race winner has only started from pole position on 16 occasions. Qualifying yesterday may have set the order for today, but expect the unexpected here at the Belgian Grand Prix. As the saying goes, of course, anything can happen. And you know what? It usually does. It's time to see.
Let's have a look onto the grid lineup for today's race. Starting from pole position, it is Lewis Hamilton. Alongside him is Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes. So Mercedes locking out the front row, with the Ferraris and the Red Bulls will be following them. There's the two Ferraris on row 2 with Vettel ahead of Leclerc, and then the two Red Bulls on row 3 with Verstappen ahead of Pierre Gasly. Ricciardo on his debut race for Racing Point ahead of Weber. Magnussen, Hulkenberg on row 5. Perez and Butler on row 6, Grosjean and myself on row 7, Norris and Sainz on his debut for Renault, or his second debut, and then Kvyat, Russell, Albon and Kubica rounding off the grid as we head on to start the race then for the Belgian Grand Prix. What can we do from 14th on the grid? Can we make it into the points today on our debut? That'll be the perfect scenario to please the Alfa Romeo bosses as we head for those 5 lights. And they're underway in Spa, and it's a fairly sluggish start as you'd expect. With the AI so much better off the line, and you can see Norris going past us into turn 1, but we dive past a few of the cars, or try to at least. Grosjean almost slicing off a bit of front wing there. He gets past Devon Butler, so now we've got 2 McLarens in front of us as we head towards Eau Rouge for the first time in this race. And you can see we actually lifted off a little bit there, so we get a better exit out of Radion, and that's helped us to dream here, get past Lando Norris. But is Butler going to stop us from getting past both of them? He actually gives us a little bit of room there, so Butler could have played that a little bit better and allowed Norris to get past us, but we've managed to get past both the McLarens there on the Kemmel Straight up into P13 now, and we can see Grosjean is at our next target. Can we get past him immediately? Of course, we've had a few incidents with Grosjean this season as well. Not all of them have been his fault, of course, surprisingly, but now we hang it around the outside of Grosjean. Can we get past him into the corner with no name? Yes, we can. We're up to P12, so it's a good start to this race. Make it into P12 after 1 lap. And that's a good start. 2 positions have been made in total, but we've made a few overtakes. So good start then to move on. Then we can see Sergio Perez as our next target. Can we get him before the end of this lap, or will we have to settle for P12? But it's still a good start to this race then. See Perez, Hulkenberg, Ricciardo are all our next targets. So with the wet qualifying, we can see a mixture of cars on different tyres. We actually tapped the back of Sergio Perez then. Lucky not to lose a bit of front wing. So yeah, we got away with that one. But yeah, there could be a few cars on the medium tyres, a few cars on the soft tyres. I'd expect it to be whether an 11 lap race, no one really needing to use the hard tyres. But who knows, some people might have a bit of a strange strategy in this race. But heading towards the bus stop chicane then, we're going to be in P12 at the end of lap 1. Unless we can cut back underneath Sergio Perez as Lewis Hamilton leads the race then after the first lap. We're close enough now to Sergio Perez to think about making a move into Saint Devote. And not Saint Devote, Les Sources. Wrong circuit. By a long shot that was. Heading out turn 1 then, we'll have a look at the start of this race then. Of replay, you can see both the Mercedes getting a good start, and then we're ourselves further back in the midfield. Very lucky not to have a crash here in the midfield, as we see a lot in the real life season, the real life Spa Grand Prix. There's often a few collisions into turn 1, but with the train tracky AI on this game, you wouldn't really expect that too much. But you can see going through Eau Rouge, we got past the Carlos Sainz behind us. You can see the 2 McLarens as we can make the move past them. You can see at this point it would have been wise for Butler just to stay in front of me and allow Norris to pick up some speed, but instead Butler decided to go to the inside. We went to the outside, and we managed to get that move very sorted and up into P13 at this point, gaining 1 position off our start after losing 1. And then you can see Grosjean now is our next target as we head into the next quarter on the hairpin. To hang it around the outside, a bit of an ambitious move. Surprised Grosjean didn't force us off the track at this point, but we managed to get past him into the next quarter, and we're up into P12. And that's pretty much the end of the first lap highlights. We're moving back straight into lap 2, where we left off. We're going through Eau Rouge again. You can see again we get a great exit out of Radion, and then onto the back straight. You see Perez line up and move on Hulkenberg. We're going to line up and move on Perez, and maybe if we're lucky, line up and move on Hulkenberg, braking so much later than them both. Getting a little bit of oversteer. Can we make the move stick? Yes, we can. A great move then up into P10. And let's have a look at the replay of that one, because that was a very risky move on the outside into the corner. We just about get around the outside of Perez, almost just about keeping it inside the track, get that oversteer, and just about managed to overtake Hulkenberg there as well. So a lovely move without DRS up into P10. And now we're in the points positions. You can see our next target is the debutant at Racing Point, Daniel Ricciardo. So we're both making our debuts at new teams here. Ricciardo lasting all of 12 races at Renault, obviously not enjoying it too much. Maybe the Racing Point is a better opportunity for him, who knows. but he's on the medium tyres, so we should be able to dispatch of him fairly quickly if we manage to dispatch of Perez, who's on the soft tyres. Perez is behind us still. So now, again, easily making it past Daniel Ricciardo. It's almost as if he was in a lower engine mode there, as we comfortably drive past him going through Blanchimont up to P9. So after just 2 laps, we've gained 5 positions. So it looks like a promising race now with Valtteri Bottas. It's the fastest lap of the race. Our next target is going to be Kevin Magnussen for P8 in the Haas. So here we go. Can we get close enough into the DRS zone as the DRS is now activated? Are we within a second of him? Will we be able to get that DRS activated onto the Kemmel Straight? We'll see in just a moment's time. Are we within a second? We're looking very close now. We've actually closed in quite a bit over the last couple of seconds, and we do have DRS. Are we too far back though to make a move into the next corner? But look at that toe we're getting. Look at the slipstream. Look how fast we are going past Kevin Magnussen from a long way back. That's a lovely little move into P8, and now our next target is Lucas Weber. So great fighting so far, and Lucas Weber's best of the rest, so only in front of Lucas Weber are the big 3 teams. So maybe P8 is about as far as we can get in this race. Who knows? With the top 3 teams should be able to pull away. Lucas Weber is actually hanging on to the Red Bulls at the moment. Just move on to lap 4. You can see we've caught up a little bit as we go through Eau Rouge again, and you can see just Lucas Weber's fighting with the Red Bulls there. So there's some great pace from the Alfa Romeo in this race, which we haven't really noticed all season. Alfa Romeo being so strong, but fighting with the Red Bulls, that's insane. And there's yellow flags ahead of us as well. So what's going on here? And there's Lewis Hamilton. He's recovering from the track. What has happened there with Lewis Hamilton? That's gained us a position. So Hamilton having an incident perhaps, or has he gone off on his own? Here we go. He's fighting with Charles Leclerc here for P2. You can see going into the corner where he lost it to. He locks up and he hits Leclerc and goes off a little bit. A really minor collision actually, but a really big consequence from that. He's down to P8 now, so that's unfortunate for him, but just locking up and hitting the side of Leclerc. We move on to lap 6 and we've closed in on Lucas Weber and both the Red Bulls. So let's see what happens here then. Can we get close enough to the DRS? Is Lucas Weber going to perhaps make a move? We're up into P7 then, so Weber in P6, and then Gasly and Ricciardo in P5 and P4. So is there a chance for P4 here on in this race? Who knows? If we can get a chance, if we can get past these guys, if we can close up to these guys, we could be in P4, which would be an awesome result for our debut in the Alfa Romeo team. You can see Weber actually jostling for position with Gasly here, and is he going to be able to make the move stick? He looks like he's actually going to get past Pierre Gasly here, and he's very close to Gasly now, fighting back as he hangs around the outside. Can Gasly fight off Lucas Weber? We close in a lot thanks to these 2 battling. This is perfect for us to make headway in this race and get towards the top guys. But it looks like the Ferrari and particularly Valtteri Bottas is flying off down the road now. But going through Pouon, Gasly and Weber wheel to wheel, side by side, we get onto the curb and we're out of shape. We get a bit of oversteer, get onto the bumps, and we lost the position. We're very lucky not to lose the race there as well. But now back down to P8, so we're going to have to focus on getting back up to these guys. But that was a really a costly mistake there. It could have been even more costly had we have managed to regain, control. We could have well been in the wall there, but losing a bit of a few seconds there to the guys in front of us. Hamilton now closing in on Gasly and Lucas Weber and Max Verstappen. They're all battling wheel to wheel. Weber's actually managed to get past Gasly here as well. So Gasly now losing position to Hamilton and Weber. We're all going into the pits though, Weber and Gasly. Look at those wheel to wheel, they're tapping wheel, and then Hamilton goes in the pit lane. So now we're in the pit lane to start, go into the pits and see whether we can make any positions in the pits. So you can see Ferrari out in the pits for Vettel, who's just exited in front of us. Gasly and Hamilton in the pits then. Can we get those medium tyres on quick enough to get out ahead of Hamilton? Hamilton's actually going to get past Gasly again, so Gasly's lost out big time in the pits there. So we're now back into P12 and ahead of Lewis Hamilton. So that pit stop worked out beautifully for us. Despite losing that position with the mistake not too long before the pit stop, we're back ahead of Hamilton and we're ahead of Gasly as well. We're moving on to the end of lap 7. Our teammate should be pitting this lap, and Danny Kvyat, the man who replaced us in the Toro Rosso, is ahead of us as well. So we'll be looking to get past him immediately. Don't want to lose any time behind Gasly, behind Kvyat. You can see that, the proximity arrow of Hamilton is closing up to us as well. So we got to make the move past Danny Kvyat. He's on the medium tyre, so he won't be pitting yet. We just about managed to make it into the bus stop chicane, so we're up into P11 then, and now we can focus on seeing whether our teammate comes out ahead of us or whether he's behind us, whether we manage to make an undercut work. Again, it should be him who's having the priority. He's the lead car, but hey ho, he's ahead of us. But Charles Leclerc is behind us. So Charles Leclerc's had a nightmare in the pit stops. He was up in P3, I think, or P4, with battling with Vettel and battling with Hamilton not too long ago. But he's had a nightmare in the pit stops. He's behind ourselves and Lucas Weber. He's lost position to both myself and Weber. But look at the tow we're getting again on Lucas Weber coming out of the pits. Can we get past him? Up into P6? Yes, we can. And that's a purple sector 1 as well. So can we get set the fastest lap of the race here with our first chance at a proper flying lap? We could get an extra point here if we set the fastest lap. See, Max Verstappen's down the road, so he's actually had a great time in the pit stops. Managed to get past Leclerc and stay ahead of Weber and everyone else. So Max Verstappen currently in a podium position here. He'll be up into P3. We're up into a provisional P4 here. So only 2 cars left will get to pit. Verstappen is behind one of them. So he's actually getting held up quite badly at the moment by the car ahead of him, which looks like a McLaren. So it could be Lando Norris who's holding him up. So this is great news for us. If we can get close enough to Verstappen, which we are, we could be in a contention for a podium here, which would have been so unexpected in our first race with Alfa Romeo. And that would be a real FU to Red Bull, having to overtake one of the Red Bulls for the podium as well. That would be awesome. But well, we've got a few laps left to tell whether that will happen yet. Verstappen is still fighting this McLaren. He still can't get past him yet, and whether we can soon enough will pay dividends into his race. But we're closing into the bus stop chicane. See Lando Norris keeping him at bay. Now we're going to get close enough to get DRS on Max Verstappen, who's going to be close enough to get DRS on Norris. Whether he can get past Norris before we can get past him. We set the fastest lap of the race though, which is going to give us an extra point at the moment. But now look how close we are to Max Verstappen, and whether we can get a move on him into Eau Rouge, which is possible. We're getting a very good slipstream here. Can we make a move into Eau Rouge? This is going to be a risky move. We go past him on the inside. On the outside, we get a bit of oversteer though, and we make contact with Verstappen, and we both go off, and we're both lucky that we don't go out of the race there. That could have been a horrible crash, but luckily, for some reason, we don't make contact. But here's the slow motion replay. But we can see on the outside, we try to give him enough room as possible to get oversteer on the outside on the dirty track there, and unfortunately, that leads us into going into the side of Verstappen. We won't be too happy about that. We get a warning for that though. But we carry on with our day. But here's the view from Verstappen. We give him plenty of room, but again, that oversteer just leads us to going into the side of him. Luckily, somehow he doesn't get spun off from that. He managed to keep the car going in a straight line, but he's going to be under pressure from Lucas Weber from that. So we're up into P3, provisional P3 from that. He'll be under pressure there. But now moving on to the end of lap 9, we've got Lando Norris ahead of us. We're in P5. Which is 2 cars ahead of us then. So we're in a provisional P3. We could be on a podium with just Vettel and Bottas ahead of us down on the road. So whether we can stay ahead of Max Verstappen and whoever else is chasing us at this point. We've got Lewis Hamilton behind us. Remember, he's in the best car on the grid at the moment. Charles Leclerc, he's of course in the second best car at the moment. So he should be looking to get past us. We're looking to get past Lando Norris into the last corner of the lap. But he cuts us off a little bit there. We had to cut the corner a little bit. And that's cost us a little bit of time. And you can see Verstappen and Hamilton now behind us with just 2 laps to go. Can we keep hold of this podium? Whether we're going to lose it now, that's the question on our lips. Whether we can get past the final 2 laps and get a dream debut podium with Alfa Romeo, which should be an awesome result. And that would in turn move us back ahead of Toro Rosso, definitely in the Constructors. And that would be awesome just to have a great debut and maybe just to have a great second half of the season at a fresh environment. And help us just develop into a great driver on this career mode. Hopefully we can win championships thanks to this mid-season change, because it just wasn't working at Toro Rosso. Despite having a few decent results, it just wasn't working. We're just being a little bit erratic, driving a little bit crazy. The expectations were very high, and now we come to a team which has lowered their expectations a little bit for us, and hopefully now we can live up to their expectations, because if they keep their expectations lower, they should be more happier when we do achieve a good result, which is what we could be about to do, as now our teammate Lucas Weber is up into 4th, so it could be a 3-4 here for Alfa Romeo. A perfect result for us really, and a great result for Weber, who himself has managed to get in front of these big team cars and perhaps Alfa Romeo, this is a sign of things to come. Whether we can develop a car that can be able to compete with the top 3 teams or not, that will be interesting to see over time. But unfortunately that wasn't going to happen with Toro Rosso either, so it was great to make that decision to change the team. In the end, it was sort of a mutual decision that we both decided to make in the end. We just weren't happy with it. It just wasn't working. But now coming to the last corner to start the last lap, you can see that the proximity arrows have shown up there. So we've got to be careful now in the last lap. Can Weber stay ahead of these guys? Are we going to perhaps give Lucas Weber DRS just to give him a little bit of a tow and allow him to not actually be under pressure from those guys behind us? We'll see whether that will be a good decision or not, because it could put ourselves under pressure. We're currently in the lowest engine setting, but now we're turning up to hot lap. We've given Lucas Weber a bit of DRS there, so hopefully if he can get that DRS, he should be able to hang on to the back of us and not worry about defending from the cars behind. But there is a car behind and it's attacking him. It looks like Lewis Hamilton is going to be trying to get P4 away from him, and indeed Hamilton looks like he has managed to take P4 away from Lucas Weber, but not to be too disheartened. Still a fantastic result for Alfa Romeo on the first races. Myself and Weber as a teammate. Of course, we had that incident in Austria, which we were looking to put behind us now. We did run into him twice. Whether the first time, whether they were both my fault or both his fault or one or the other, it remains to be seen. But we're moving that behind us now. We were teammates in Formula 2, and hopefully now we can just have a great relationship with each other and help move Alfa Romeo forward in the Constructors' Championship. Maybe think about Season 2 more than Season 1. We're both too far back to really think about moving ourselves into a championship fight. But Season 2, if we can develop the car well enough for Season 2, that would be ideal. But now it looks like P3 is going to belong to us as we head through the final sector for the final time, just as the 11th lap race. Valtteri Bottas is going to win the race for Mercedes. Sebastian Vettel going to cross the line in second. We're ourselves going to cross the line in third and pick up our first ever podium, and our first podium on our debut for Alfa Romeo. What a result for ourselves as we come across the line now. It looks like Verstappen's got past Lucas Weber as well, but we cross the line in P3. We're going to be heading up to the rostrum for the podium, and now that's going to be a great result. We're going to have a bit of champagne, a trophy, and a great result in our debut. I'm sure they're going to be so happy with that, the Alfa Romeo guys. Frederic Vasseur is going to be so happy about that. So that's going to be perfect for us. We see what's going to happen now. The Valtteri Bottas leading the race there. He should have gained plenty of points on Hamilton, who had a disappointing race. But Bottas winning the race for Mercedes. Vettel second, and myself third. So let's see what that means for the drivers' standings and the constructors' standings. We will get driver of the day as well, and that's great to see ourselves on the podium forward. Alfa Romeo enjoying ourselves up there and our first season. But now then, let's have a look at the drivers and constructors before we say see you later for the next episode. But there you go, we're up into P3, and there's Daniel Ricciardo doing well on his debut for Racing Point as well. And now we look onto the driver standings, and we get driver of the day. We're up into P9 now, just behind the Racing Points. The Racing Points are the only guys ahead of us now. So Racing Points are Daniel Ricciardo in the Racing Point is a bit deceiving actually, because the other Racing Point was down the order in Lance Stroll. But yeah, we're up into P9 just behind the Ricciardo and Perez in best of the rest mode. But we're up into P7 in the constructors, and that could actually that result probably pushed us closer to Haas now. Maybe we're thinking about perhaps taking P6, maybe even P5 or P4. It could be the best of rest by the end of the season, who knows. But that's going to be the end of the episode there, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it today. Obviously I changed the scenario, but yeah, there you go. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you very soon for the Italian Grand Prix. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. I'll see you very soon.